This is an open letter to the media and everyone else regarding my personal experience with the Watchtower organization in Ontario and what I believe to be another case of elderly financial abuse to the benefit of the Jehovah's Witness organization. My name is Venessa Spilchen, originally Sean, and for the past 2 years my sister and I have been dealing with an extremely stressful and upsetting situation, as we have been forced into a legal battle with Tibor Gavoski and the Watchtower Bible Society for the Jehovah's Witnesses. This has all been done to protect our grandmother's true wishes and to show that this type of elderly abuse should not be tolerated in Canada or anywhere else in the world. The details of this proceeding to date can be found under the Ontario Court File Number 21012-25505. Mine is not the first story of this type, nor do I think it will be the last. Now I ask you for help in telling my story so that what is happening to us does not happen to anyone else. On March 13th, 2012, my grandmother Cecilia Schulin passed away. Without notifying myself or any other member of her family, Tibor had her cremated, buried next to my grandfather, who passed away July 24th, 1998. Then he proceeded with the probating of the will, putting the house up for sale, and finally emptying the contents of the family home on March 28th, 2012. On this day, my grandmother's longtime neighbor came out of the house and asked Tibor if he had contacted Dee Dee about her death. Tibor stated to her, and also in his affidavit, that he tried to find her information but was not able to. I have evidence that he didn't try very hard. The neighbor gave him my sister's number. Tibor still waited till the very next day, March 29th, 2012, more than 2.5 weeks after her death, to finally inform the first family member of her passing, and that he had planned a memorial to be held on March 31st, 2012. This is the first of many different aspects of this case that is off and makes a person wonder. On April 17th, 2012, I called Tibor. I started the conversation by letting him know who I was and how I was related to Mrs. Schulin. As one would think that he would offer condolences, instead, Tibor's response to me was that my grandfather, John Schulin, did not have a will. This was concerning to me at the time of my family's loss. His first comment would be a reference to wills. I was taken back and offended, so I told Tibor that I knew that this was not true, that we as a whole family knew one existed. He told me he was such a good friend of the family that he buried my grandfather and my father. So I then proceeded to ask if he could give me some information about my grandfather, like his full name and his birth date. Tibor did not want to give me information. He stated that he was not getting paid for his efforts to give me this information to me, and that the file he had for my grandmother was put away somewhere and that he did not know where it was at the moment. I got really upset and hurt by his response. Because Tibor waited so long to contact anybody that was a blood relation, the only one that could make it to her memorial was Dee Dee, my sister, who lives in the Toronto area. This is where we feel uncomfortable with the events as they were playing out, and got compelled to grab a lawyer and trying to find out what exactly is going on. Since that time, they have thrown a mound of paperwork in our direction, but have not been willing to answer some of the very basic questions that we have asked. Wills in total are 1 in 91, 1 in 97, another will in 2000, another will in 2001, another will in 2006. Then we have codicils in 94, 98, 2005, 2010, 2012, and as well as Dr. Note in 2006. With all this paperwork, there was a letter from Grant Fedoric stating that this was all the wills that his client has found so far, his client being Tibor Gavoski. In the majority of this paperwork, there are a number of things that raise questions and speculations. One example is the first will in April 23rd, 1991. My father, John Hans Schulin, had issues, and on April 7th, 1991, he took his own life. He was living with my grandmother at the time, and she found him dead in her garage. Not even 2 weeks later, she then decides to go and make a will that where the majority of her estate goes to the Watchtower. It makes me question, why is it that my grandmother made all these wills of her own free will, but there is nothing that exists before 1991? That the new wills only appear after my grandfather and my father has passed. There are numerous inconsistencies that have come to light and has forced us to question Tibor's relationship with and influence over my grandmother and the wills and the codicils he presided over. We have a wonderful lawyer, Alden Berman. He has fought for us and won the motion to take this to court. Justice Mullins, is presiding over this case. And even though we won the motion to take this to court, she still had us pay the other side's costs. She's also put off other court dates, and she has made us wait. When Alden finally got in front of Judge Mullins again in March 11th, 2014, she gave us an order that we could appeal for Stan Feinberg, the lawyer that did the first set of wills, to turn over his papers. But she never even signed the order until May 15th. It feels like she just hopes this whole thing would just go away. But it would be a great injustice to my grandmother if we did not fight to ensure that her true wishes were upheld. For these and many more reasons, I feel that my family story is being told is important, and more than ever it could save other families who also may find themselves in similar situations with elderly relatives and religious institutions that influence their members to their own belief. I am available to answer any questions and offer all the background documents that I have. People need to know what is happening to us and may be happening to them. Please help me by getting my story out. You can email me at vspilchen, SPILCHEN @outlook.com. Please, anybody out there, help me. I don't know what else to do.